Denny Hamlin, NASCAR veteran and co-owner of 2311 Racing, has ignited a fiery debate in the racing world by pointing the finger at Brad Keselowski for his alleged role in the dramatic crash involving Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher at Darlington Raceway. If you haven't already, subscribe to NASCAR Insider and let's start the video. It all started with Kevin Harvick, the wise old owl of the track. He'd been around the block a time or two and he knew Darlington like the back of his hand. Before the race even began, he pulled aside some of the young guns and warned them about the dangers of the upper lane. But you know how it goes. Sometimes the thrill of the race just takes over and you forget all about the warnings. That's exactly what happened to Tyler Reddick. The man was on fire, leading the pack for a jaw-dropping 174 laps. He was untouchable, a blur of speed and precision that left everyone in awe. But then it all came crashing down. Reddick found himself in a late race tangle with Chris Buescher, and they were both spinning. And who was there to take advantage of the chaos? None other than Brad Keselowski, the crafty veteran who always seems to be in the right place at the right time. Keselowski slipped through the wreckage, snatching the lead and never looking back. He crossed the finish line with a triumphant fist pump, breaking a winless streak that had stretched on for an agonizing 110 races. It was a moment of pure elation for the driver and his team. But not everyone was celebrating. Denny Hamlin, the fiery driver and co-owner of 2311 Racing, had been watching the race with a keen eye, and what he saw left him fuming. In his mind, Keselowski wasn't just an opportunistic winner, he was the one who had set the whole disastrous chain of events in motion. According to Hamlin, it all started with Buescher giving Keselowski a little nudge from behind, a common tactic to help clear and overtake other cars, but this time, it seems to have backfired, putting them in a tricky aerodynamic situation that slowed them down. And then, the plot thickens. Hamlin suggests that Keselowski's contact with Reddick might have been the spark that ignited Reddick's aggressive driving. In fact, Hamlin even drew parallels to a similar incident from his own past in the Xfinity series. He admitted to pushing the envelope a bit too far himself, much like what he believes happened with Reddick. Hamlin recounted, "I tried this during Xfinity race and went way too far. It was with me and Ross way back in the day and they showed a lot of that this weekend. I went to try to slide them, but dummy me, I went way too deep. I could have slowed way down. I ended up slot going so deep I hit the wall, then he ran into me. I could have slowed my entry up a little more, but it was because I was beside him. I already had a distance advantage when I started to do the slid, so I think trying to do it when you're not beside them was really low percentage and obviously did not work out and ended both our days." As Hamlin's words sank in, the garage area erupted in whispers and speculation. Was Keselowski really to blame for the crash? Had he deliberately made contact with Reddick knowing it would send him into a tailspin? Or was Hamlin just stirring the pot trying to get under Keselowski's skin? The truth, as always, lay somewhere in the middle. There was no denying that Keselowski had been in the right place at the right time, ready to capitalize on Reddick and Buescher's misfortune. Still, in the world of NASCAR, even the smallest touch can have enormous consequences. A driver's focus is like a house of cards. One tiny bump, and the whole thing can come tumbling down. And that's exactly what seemed to have happened to Reddick. After the contact with Keselowski, Reddick's driving took on a new level of intensity. He started taking risks, pushing his car to the limit and beyond. It was as if he had something to prove, some point to make. But in the end, all that aggression only led to disaster. But Denny Hamlin ain't buying the idea that it was just a stroke of luck for Keselowski. He's convinced that Keselowski's strategic positioning was the key to the whole shebang. By making contact with Reddick, Hamlin suggests that Keselowski may have triggered Reddick's aggressive driving, which ultimately led to the fateful crash with Buescher. Hamlin argues that the contact might have put Reddick on tilt, messing with his head and affecting his decision-making on the track. Hamlin also points to the vital role that aerodynamics played in this whole debacle. The push from Buescher on Keselowski, while intended to be a helpful boost, may have actually put them in a vulnerable position that slowed them down and made it harder to maneuver. This incident shines a spotlight on the razor-thin line between aggressive driving and strategic tactics in NASCAR. Hamlin, drawing from his own experiences, admits that it's a tightrope walk. He's pushed the limits himself, and he knows all too well how easy it is to cross that line. As the debate heats up, it's becoming crystal clear that this incident is more than just a simple case of bad luck or aggressive driving. It's a window into the intricate world of NASCAR strategy, where every move on the track can have massive ripple effects. When the dust settled, Brad Keselowski emerged as the victor, breaking his winless streak and showcasing his mastery of race dynamics and mental fortitude. But at what cost? Denny Hamlin's accusations have cast a long shadow over the win, raising some serious questions about the ethics and responsibility of drivers in the heat of battle. This whole situation serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of learning from these moments to strike the right balance between aggression and strategy. It's a lesson that every NASCAR driver needs to take to heart if they want to make it to the top of the pack. This incident also raised some bigger questions about the nature of racing itself. Where was the line between hard, aggressive driving and dirty tactics? How much contact was too much? And what role did the mental game play in all of this? For Hamlin, the answer was clear. He'd been around the block enough times to know that mind games were just as important as raw speed. It was a lesson that Hamlin had learned the hard way, through years of trial and error. He'd pushed the limits himself, crossed the line between aggressive and reckless more times than he could count, but he'd also come to understand the importance of balance, of knowing when to push and when to back off. And that, more than anything, was what made Keselowski's victory so impressive. He'd been in a tough spot, caught between two crashing cars with nowhere to go, but he hadn't panicked or lost his cool. He'd kept his focus, made the split-second decisions that mattered, and come out on top. It was a masterclass in racecraft, a testament to Keselowski's skill and experience. And while Hamlin might not have been happy about the outcome, even he had to admit that it was a thing of beauty. Denny Hamlin will be back, as fired up and outspoken as ever. He knows that this is all just part of the game. The mind games, the controversies, the endless jockeying for position. It's what drives him. What keeps him coming back year after year. Well, fans, that's the story of the controversial clash at Darlington that's got the whole NASCAR world buzzing. Denny Hamlin's bombshell accusation against Brad Keselowski has opened up a can of worms, and it's up to you to decide where you stand. Was Keselowski's move a calculated strategy or a dirty trick? Did he deliberately trigger the chaos that took out Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher? Or was he just in the right place at the right time? Do you think Hamlin is right to call out Keselowski, or is he just stirring the pot? Leave your comments below and let's keep this conversation going. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest NASCAR news, controversies, and analysis, subscribe to NASCAR Insider and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.